You only need to know me. I will be the one.
We learned some really important information in chapter 1035 during a fight between Zoro and King as King the Wildfire's ancient race was revealed. From a flashback of King, we saw that Kaido and him had been experimented upon by the world government for their endurance, an endurance that can be attributed to each of their ancient races, their long-forgotten bloodlines. This flashback pretty much solidified Kaido's motivations, making him an incredibly well-rounded and complex character. At first, we thought he was just some destructive brute that enjoyed fighting and testing his strength, the limits of his abilities. A bloodthirsty madman that wanted to die. But in reality, Kaido is something far more impressive and important to the overall storyline of One Piece, the direction the series is heading as it approaches its finale. Kaido is another Stormbringer. I'm not saying he too carries the will of D, there's no evidence of that yet. Although the scene of him smiling at Luffy in chapter 1001 is curious, and later on, his comments about Luffy's smile mirrored by his own smile, and the mysterious intonation of his words and the broader dialogue do make you wonder about his knowledge or relationship to the will of D. But to bring about a storm is a reference to changing the world, breaking the gears as Law had said. The Kaido we see in chapter 1035 appears to be a Kaido fresh from the disbandment of the Rocks Pirates crew maybe. The fall of his captain Zebec, perhaps having an influence on the ideals he expressed in King's memory of that time. The sentiment having relevance to what we'll discuss next in this video. The idea of several past and present candidates to be Joy Boy. But Kaido says in chapter 1035 that King as a Lunarian will never be let go by the government. As the last of his kind, akin to Kaido and a few other ancient giants or Oni maybe, the government will never stop chasing and hunting them down. And this reminds me of what Kaido said about humans to Yamato, how they will never love you, clearly speaking from his own experiences. There appears to be some dialogue that is missing between Kaido and King, a discussion that convinced King Kaido was the man he'd been waiting for, a display of strength and invulnerability to damage that far exceeded his own, a will so great that it led King to ask Kaido if he truly believed he could change this world. Now, Kaido's response is important, as is Oda's depiction of Kaido's appearance in this scene, an appearance that is eerily reminiscent of Goldie Roger. Kaido says, "Yes, I'm the only man who can, the only one who can change this world." Why would Kaido think this? The people that can change the world, those able to usher in a storm are the D. But maybe anyone can do so and you don't necessarily have to be a D. Or maybe Kaido came to realize this and that is why he is now so depressed. We still need more information. Because when Kaido came to the land of Wano, we know from Yamato's conversation with him that he did so because Wano is special. Wano is very important for whatever reason implied by Kaido's desire to bring about change. So we need to assess what change is for Kaido exactly. What it is and what it might have been before, perhaps always was. So what I mean is, when Kaido was first introduced, he seemed to envy Whitebeard for dying in a climatic war. He described the world as boring and declared his resolve to destroy the world, which suggests it was not or was no longer worth saving or changing. Kaido, as he floats the island of Onigashima above the flower capital of Wano, displaying just how far he is willing to go as he states his desire to create a world of mayhem and violence. This appears to be a direct contradiction to the ideals of his younger self, or maybe the two ideas work in harmony. For whatever reason, it appears Kaido's dream had transformed from one of creation to one of destruction. We often wonder how Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom could all serve on the same crew under Zebec D. Rocks, and there's been speculation that the government lied about the Rocks Pirates, although little evidence existed to further push those claims, until now. If Kaido used to have a more hopeful mindset, it would align a little better maybe with Big Mom, who despite her violent means or methods, dreamt of having all the races in her family at the same eye level, which is the equivalent of saying Big Mom wanted to bring all races of the world together, to make everyone equal, to change the world. And Whitebeard, who just wanted a family, and ironically people suppose Whitebeard might have betrayed his family, his crew, to side with Roger and Garp, but who knows what really happened during that battle. As for the captain of the Rocks Pirates, Zebec is said by Sengoku to have initially formed a pirate alliance on the basis of fame and fortune. Of course, the higher-ups had very different motivations as we discussed. So what about Zebec? Well, Zebec is said by the government or Sengoku again, so take it with a grain of salt, but Zebec is said to have the Rocks Pirates or have led them on a path of destruction with the goal of taking over the world. Zebec himself seeking to become the king of the world. In the process, Zebec D-Rocks led his crew on a mission that endangered the world nobles and their slaves. After the Battle of God Valley, Sengoku indicates that Zebec is no longer alive, but his hidden legacy endures. What's interesting is, unlike other twisted pirates, the world government attempted to erase Zebec himself from history, which is why so few remember him today. Zebec apparently had learned too much about the world, dabbled too far and too deep into its taboo secrets, akin to eating forbidden fruit like Adam and Eve from the Tree of Knowledge. His own exile then came in the form of persecution and death. But what if some of what we've been told about rocks is a lie? Something I found interesting, even though I've made the connection myself in other videos, is this, and it's a specific reference to the manga that I overlooked, and it comes from a moment during the reverie. Sabo's brother Steri believed that sitting on the empty throne would make one the king of the world, which directly ties into what Zebec wanted to achieve. Becoming king of the world then was a means for him to change the world, that he needed to reach the throne to achieve this. We know that another king, the title of Pirate King, was not sought after by Roger even though he embraced it. The world government gave him that title, and so there are effectively two kings, two sovereigns you could say, or maybe there truly is only one. More on this soon. But Blackbeard has repeatedly throughout the story mentioned making his way to the top, and you can watch my Why Luffy's Devil Fruit is Needed to Stop Blackbeard from Reaching the Empty Throne video after this, just to hear some general ideas about Blackbeard's ambitions, plans, goals, or whatever, and the inevitable face-off between him and Luffy, as they both head toward Laugh Tale. But again, Blackbeard has said repeatedly that he is aiming for the top, and something I just realized is Shanks refers to this very same line by Blackbeard when speaking to Whitebeard. Shanks says as if a warning, Blackbeard has been hiding in the shadows, but with his own strength and will, he is aiming for the very top. Not just for the position of a great pirate, or a Shishibukai, or an emperor, maybe not just the title of Pirate King, but the title of King of the World, just like Zebec. So does Blackbeard want to sit on the empty throne, or I guess we'll find out. For Marineford, his only goal seems to be turning the world upside down, creating chaos, engulfing and destroying everything. But his motivations, his dreams, remain unclear. And his dream, I believe, is the most consequential outside of Luffy's, for he is the one that declared, a man's dream will never die. Zebec D-Rock's dream of taking over the world has been revived decades after his death, as his former subordinates Kaido and Big Mom have joined forces in a temporary alliance to conquer the world, to change it. It's interesting on a brief note that just as Kaido met King and said he changed the world, Roger did the same when he met Rayleigh, declaring he would turn this world upside down. Sure, you told Blackbeard he'd been waiting for a man like him, a man headed for the very top, a man born of chaos, ambition and destruction. And even Big Mom. In her case, many question who the true right hand is, at least who the original right hand was. Was it Katakuri, or, in this case, outside of bloodline, we have a non-biological member of the Big Mom family, the first person to join her crew, the executive chef and gourmet knight, Streusen, who told Big Mom when she was still a child, before embarking upon her own path of destruction, that together they create one then, a country of their dreams. We see Dragon tell Ivankov in the past, back when Luffy was still a little child, that there can be no happiness in a world where those deemed unnecessary are weeded out and eliminated. One day I will change this world. You mark my words. The same words as Kaido's, the same ambition of so many others, dreams that connect Roger to Dragon, and maybe explain their connection and why Dragon was there the day Roger died, to see the world change forever in search of his treasure, Joy Boy's treasure, the One Piece. So, Joy Boy, I think it's time to ask who Joy Boy is. Not the past or previous Joy Boys, but the one the world is waiting for here and now. The one that will supposedly start a great war, as was told by Whitebeard and most recently Odin in his own backstory as each man died. The one that would pick a fight with the whole world. Many wonder who this person is. I've seen countless theories and alternative explanations to the most obvious candidate, Straw Hat Luffy. The Straw Hat being thought to have been passed down in succession, akin to a crown from one Joy Boy to the next. From Roger to Shanks to Luffy, and all those that came before and maybe those that will come after. A never-ending story. And so, I personally view Shanks as a guardian more so than a candidate, and I think his backstory might explain why. But Roger, Gold D. Roger, clearly brought about a storm with the speech of a king that changed the world. Did he also inherit a part of Joy Boy's will before passing it on through Shanks to Luffy? Was Shanks simply holding the hat, shepherding it, protecting it? Or did he inherit a part of Joy Boy's will too? Is the next Joy Boy necessarily someone that has worn the straw hat, or could there have been other candidates? In that sense, if the straw hat is a crown, if it once belonged to Joy Boy, then Joy Boy was a king. If some seek to become the Pirate King, whereas others wish to simply sit on the empty throne, are there two kings? Two Joy Boys from opposing spectrums of change? Or is there only one true king, who was both a pirate and once sat on the empty throne? A lot of questions to ask here. No real answers or plausible theories to give at this moment, but which perspective is worthy? Who was Joy Boy exactly? It is said someone will destroy Fishman Island, a violent act, and I'm sure there are many other violent acts like this to come in the future. But is it truly violent? Is it really? Does destruction necessarily prohibit you from being worthy of Joy Boy's inherited will? But what we have from looking at past conflicts and competing visions are Goldie Roger versus Zebec D. Rocks, Monkey D. Luffy versus Blackbeard or Marshall D. Teach. And so the collision of D's. And while the following don't seem to be D's, maybe Kaido versus Big Mom, who knows? Some are agents of chaos, others offer a more peaceful resolution. Each undeniably arbiters of change and in their own unique ways bringers of storms. I know some like myself like to pair Shanks against Blackbeard, wherein Shanks and his Nordic god inspiration maintain the peace, whereas Blackbeard seeks to disrupt it, to change it. Instead, we pair Luffy against Eustace Kid, but we'll have to hold off on that idea until the story plays out a little more. Eustace Kid is still a mystery, and it could go either way in terms of the future relevance of his character. But returning to the beginning to recap, Kaido and King's backstory implies that they were betrayed repeatedly by humans, captured and experimented upon. The reasoning behind Kaido's desire to destroy the world is now more clear than ever. Kaido possibly believing the only way to save this world is to destroy it and start over. Think of the great cleansing by the celestial dragons. Kaido's story reminding me of Fisher Tiger in many ways. But the sun god Nika, a freer of slaves, introduced us here in Wano, have been looked at by many recently for connections to not just to the Void Century, but the ancient races due to having fiery hair like King's flaming back. Does Kaido know of this story? Does King? Or is it only who's who? What inspired Kaido to think he could change the world? I've seen some such as Randy Troy and Rogers Base question recently, is Dragon or Luffy carrying Lunarian DNA since Luffy can use fire? Personally, I would love that to be the case, however it would play out. If the sun god Nika was a Lunarian, I'd like to remind you of something I said in my Zoro's New Sword after defeating King video, that the symbol of Impel Down, whose guards curiously have fake black wings, is seen on that prison's flag. It depicts a crown with wings. A crown belongs to a king. And now consider the repeated description of Luffy's two wings here in Wano, Zoro and Sanji, as well as a past cover of Luffy drawn as if he himself had wings, and an arc of Skypiea with a character named Wiper, who looks similar to King the Wildfire in terms of his wings, his overall warrior personality, and a similar curved tattoo akin to a crescent moon. The straw hat being a crown then complements the image perfectly, a crown with wings. The Lunarians being a name related to the moon playing a major role in the Skypiea arc. Maybe Kaido will come to realize Luffy is the one, the child of prophecy, or maybe he will laugh when he realizes that his life has been determined by an obsession with fortune telling, and that Luffy either doesn't care or actually isn't the one either. Fate is inconsequential to how he will live his life. He's just doing what he wants, what he feels is right. I always felt like Shanks saved Luffy because they are friends, but the straw hat was given to Luffy because Shanks recognized he was special in some way, including the words he said that echoed Rogers. Similarly, I wonder about the moment Shanks saved Kobe, someone who clearly detests war, is able to be friends with pirates as a marine, who perhaps would like to stop the violence of the world, true peace. Who is deserving to be Joy Boy? But the thing that most stands out from this discussion is the ongoing fight between Luffy and Kaido and how the world will change after their fight is over. Oda saying in a recent message that we readers should pay attention to Luffy in the last scene of Wano Kuni, something Oda has been waiting to draw for a long time. I wonder if it has anything to do with all of this. The change the world awaits, the opening of Wano's borders, and the return of Joy Boy. All events that each bring us one step closer to the One Piece and further beyond. Kaido's smile at Luffy in chapter 1001 being reminiscent of the smile the D's display in a battle and before death. 10 chapters later, after Luffy surprises Kaido again with his quick progression, reaching a level of strength only a few others in the world can lay claim to. Kaido acknowledging just how big Luffy's smile had become. Kaido thereafter defeating Luffy again, saying it seems you couldn't be Joy Boy either, it seems. It's worth asking if Kaido was referring to himself when he said either. Maybe Kaido believed he was Joy Boy at one point in time, or he was supposed to be, and later found out he was wrong, that he wasn't the one. Maybe this is also similar to what Whitebeard said to Blackbeard or Marshall D. Teach before foreshadowing the Great War that would consume the world, when Whitebeard told Blackbeard that he was not the one Roger was waiting for, not the inheritor of that or Joy Boy's will. And just like Kaido is not the man Wano is waiting for, not the man the world is waiting for, he is not Joy Boy either. Maybe the same thing happened some time ago for Monkey D. Dragon, who believed himself to be the one to bring about change. For we see as the winds of change blow, perhaps in Luffy's direction, Dragon tell Luffy, his son, to never stop questioning the world, how it is, and what the world could be if it changed. That the two of them would one day meet again and change it together, I think. Or at the very least, like Shanks, Rayleigh, and so many others, Dragon will guide Luffy along the way, maybe as he's already done in the past. In that way, like Dragon, Shanks, Blackbeard, Big Mom, and now Kaido, everyone that wants to change the world has kind of, but won't really, not in the way we or they had expected. Rather, they will play some small part in leading, in molding, and training, or preparing the chosen one, opening the door to usher in Joy Boy's return, akin to the theory that Luffy would inherit the dreams of his rivals of every Yonko and many more, to fulfill their dream in one final war. For it is the one that has no desire in his heart to rule, to conquer, to change anything. He is the one that ironically will. He is the most deserving to be king. The throne is empty for a reason. No one is supposed to sit on it. It is symbolic of a world that has no rulers. A world that fits one small piece of Luffy's dream. But as usual, we will have to wait and see. Don't forget to like the video, comment with your thoughts below, share this with your friends, and subscribe. Also click that notification bell. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my second channel, Darklit. You can see the link on the screen. A bunch of videos coming to that channel and this one in the future, so subscribe today. Until next time, I'll see you all in Valhalla.
One Piece は実在する。世界最高の戦争始めようぜ。お前の相手は俺だ。